This topic is actually very simple.
But how do you know about this topic?
I generally know.
Source?
Logic. Which logic?
My logic.
Hello, I have been studying this topic for years. I completed an academic program related to it.
Yes, but I also watched your videos, brother. I mean, we graduated from the School of Life too, right?
Let's be honest now. You've experienced this dialogue at least once. Maybe a know-it-all name came to mind while watching the video, right? And the real question is, why do people choose to insist on talking instead of saying, I don't know, about something they don't know? Today, we're looking at this from inside the brain. For the brain, saying, I don't know is not just a word. The brain perceives it as a threat because admitting not knowing equals status loss. Status loss equals social risk. Social risk equals danger for the brain. At this point, the amygdala comes into play. That is, the brain's alarm center, and the brain says, if I stay silent, I will appear weak, so it speaks, whether it knows or not. In fact, they speak in such a way that the one who remains silent often becomes the expert on the subject. So how does the reward system of knowledgeable people's brains work? They release dopamine while speaking, feeling that the sense of control is entirely theirs. The sense of superiority gives them a unique self-confidence. In other words, the person is nourished not by knowledge, but by feeling as if they know. There is an important point here. The brain knows that it does not know the correct information. However, the feeling of being approved by others pushes them to speak without knowing more. That's why knowledgeable people usually make definitive statements. They don't say, I think, don't take questions, and are intolerant of opposing views. Because a question equals a crack equals a threat. Now comes an interesting part. Why is a truly knowledgeable brain silent? The brains of truly knowledgeable people work more calmly. So why? Because the prefrontal cortex is more active. They have a high tolerance for uncertainty. Saying, I don't know is not a problem for them. Real knowledge produces humility in the brain. Because the knowledgeable brain sees this subject is bigger than I thought. That's why truly expert people talk less and listen more. Their sentences are cautious. They might say, I'm not sure about this, or I'm not the expert. This is not a weakness.
This is a maturity of the brain. So, are the knowledgeable ones happier?
No. Being a know-it-all produces momentary dopamine.
But in the long term, learning something new stops. Social conflict increases. The mind becomes rigid and the feeling of being wrong is overly present. In other words, the know-it-all brain is loud but not peaceful. Now, we've come to you. Let's talk about those who have to listen to know-it-alls, the truly tired side. The brains of those listening to know-it-alls constantly suppress themselves, avoid conflict, and internally tense up. I wonder if I was wrong, they think. This creates cognitive exhaustion. So, as long as you don't speak, their brain gets rewarded and your brain gets tired. Silence here turns from a virtue into a burden. So, how should we behave towards know-it-all brains when we have to? Don't get into an argument. Don't get into a battle of proving. Don't fall into the trap of, but it's not like that. If possible, leave the scene. But if you absolutely want to engage in a battle on the topic with them, then ask questions. How do you know this? Under what conditions is this information valid? And set a clear boundary. Do not hesitate to say, I think there is a lack of information on this topic, and do not give silent approval. Nod your head or make an OK sign with your hands and protect your own mind. It's not your job to correct the know-it-all brain. Don't take it upon yourself. But from the moment you are exposed, someone needs to say, stop for the health of other minds and your own mind. And remember, not every conversation has to be won, some must be left. And the final message from our Scribble Crisis page on the subject is this: know-it-all shouts, wisdom stays silent.